Okay, the first issue that I want to personally address is the issue of a video that's gone viral concerning the arrest of some university students from this weekend, specifically from about 2 o'clock in the morning on November 8th. Yesterday evening, about 7 o'clock, I started receiving videos concerning the arrest. Needless to say, once I started receiving the videos and watching what occurred, I was deeply disturbed by it and disappointed in the way our officers responded. To that end, I went ahead and I contacted Captain Simpson, who's in charge of internal affairs, and sent him an email so that we could start planning how we were going to conduct an internal investigation into the actions of the police officers to determine if any policies and procedures or any type of laws were violated or broken by those officers. This morning, we met as a staff and we began our internal investigation, and that investigation involves going over and reviewing a lot of video. There was a lot of video that came from the individuals that were inside the apartment, and several of the officers have body cameras. And so we're going over a lot of video footage, and it's going to take us a while. So what I'm asking people to do is be patient and allow us to do an investigation. We've already started, and we've already conducted some interviews with some of the officers based on what we've been able to dissect from the video. As a result of what we've seen so far, we have suspended, or I'm sorry, suspended is not the word, we have placed on administrative leave 3 officers. Those officers will be placed, or have been placed on administrative leave, and will remain on administrative leave until we complete this investigation and determine what course and what direction we go from here. Now, what I want you to understand is that we've got a long way to go in this investigation. Just because we've initially put 3 officers on administrative leave, by no means mean that we're at the end of the investigation, we're done. There are going to be probably hours of video that we have to review. And in reviewing that video, we're going to be taking a look at the actions of each and every officer that responded to that location to determine if those officers operated outside of our policies and procedures or outside of law. And that's what we feel like we need to do. I want you all to know that we're going to do an open and honest investigation. We're going to be as transparent as we possibly can while we do this investigation. I want everybody to know that we take this very seriously. I take it very personally because I've put a lot of effort over 21 years, and a lot of other people put a lot of effort in building a great reputation for the Tuscaloosa Police Department in our community. And I don't want to see that reputation destroyed by a careless or senseless act. And so therefore, we're going to do everything in our power to make sure that we investigate this, bring it to a conclusion, and let you all know what's going on. Now, obviously, I restate that you need to be patient. This investigation, unfortunately, does not move at the speed of the internet. It's not like pressing a button and hitting send and it's all over and done with. It's going to take a lot longer than that to get to the end of this. But with a little bit of patience, we're going to get there. And I want to assure people that we're going to do everything that we can as a police department to rebuild the public trust and restore the trust of the public and the citizens in us. I also want to say to everybody out there, do not be afraid of calling the Tuscaloosa Police Department. We are here to protect and serve and do a job. Do we always get it right? No, but there's no need to fear us or fear our officers. And if anyone out there has any additional information that they feel is relevant to this case, I ask that they contact our Internal Affairs Office at 248-4510. Now, I will open the floor up to questions.
We've all seen the videos. Can you tell us, I know without naming them, maybe which 3 officers have been placed on leave just based on the video? I mean, there was the one using the taser, the one using the baton, there was the one using profanity, or those?
The 3 officers that have been placed on leave was the officer that initially responded to the call, the officer using the taser, and the officer using the baton.
How many students in all were arrested during that call?
There were 3 students arrested.
Will the charges against them remain?
The charges are currently pending in court, and we will have to see where we go with those charges. So at this time, those charges are still pending.
Why were so
releasing
many
their
officers
names?
responding to a noise complaint? It looked like as many as a dozen officers.
The reason there were so many officers out there was because it was a couple hours after the football game. Of course, there were a lot of people that were still in the area of the strip, and we have what we call a strip detail, a group of officers that work the bars in that area after the ball game. And those officers were out there because of the bars still being open. And when the officer called for backup that initially responded, several officers responded to that call for backup.
Is there any other side of the story that in your mind could justify what we've seen?
Well, we're currently still investigating it, so I'll reserve comment on that. But I will tell you right now that what I've seen, I take it very seriously. I was very disappointed in it, and that we're going to do everything that we can to get to the bottom of it.
Had you all responded to this apartment before this particular one?
That I don't know.
What was the total number of police officers that ended up present at the incident?
I don't have an exact number on that. There was several.
What have the students been charged with?
One student was charged with harassment, obstructing justice, and resisting arrest, and I think the other two were charged with obstructing justice and resisting arrest each.
Will you be releasing their names, charges, and gunshots?
Yes, at some point we will do that.
Not today, though?
I don't know. It may be today. I just don't know right now.
Chief, when a police officer knocks at your door and tells you to come outside, do they have to, or does the officer have to have a warrant? There's questions about how this situation escalated to the point that it did.
Well, if a police officer knocks at your door and you come to the door, officer, and it becomes a consensual contact between you and that officer, outside of any exigent circumstances that will require that officer to make an immediate entry into that apartment, no. Does that answer your question?
Yes, sir.
No what?
No, the officer cannot just go in.
How do you train officers to de-escalate a situation, and why do you think that didn't happen Sunday morning?
We've had training on officer training to help them deal with stressful situations in the past. I don't know the last time we had that training, but we have offered that training here at the police department before. Why it didn't happen in this case, I cannot answer that question.
Those 3 officers that are being placed on administrative leave, can you tell us how long they've been with the department?
One of the officers has been with us for 8 years, another for about 12, and the last officer for about 2.
So the initial responding officer had been with the department 8 years.
Yes.
The officer using the taser had been here 12 years,
Yes.
and the officer who's using the baton had been here 2 years.
Yes.
Okay.
Do you think after this incident, there's any additional training, or is there anything that you want your officers to maybe learn from this incident?
Yes. For me personally, when we have a situation like this, I take it personal, and I wonder in myself as a leader, have I failed my department in some type of way? Have I not provided them with the adequate training that they need? And so as a result of this, we will be taking a look at our training protocols, and we will be doing additional training on everything from de-escalating events to Fourth Amendment search and seizure. So there are a lot of things that are going to be learned from this situation, and there are going to be some changes made, because ultimately I'm the one that's responsible for what happens within the department, and I take that very personally when something happens within my department with my officers. It creates a black eye on the department and on the city of Tuscaloosa.
Chief, what's the atmosphere like for you and the officers within the department when you look at the last 3 to 4 months with a fatal officer-involved shooting? You have a suspect die or wound up dying following being in police custody. Last week, the video of a cat being abused, and now this. Can you just kind of sum up how things are like in this building for people on the outside?
I can't speak for all the officers because I don't know what their feeling is. But just from my perspective, we've had a tough few months. We've had some things that have happened here at the Tuscaloosa Police Department that have made not only local headlines, but made national headlines. And one of the things that you always are concerned with, or that I'm always concerned with, is how can I shine the most positive light on my police department? And I always hate when we have negative light that's shown on the police department. But anytime we do have a negative experience within the department, I also look at it as an opportunity for us to learn from it, to improve, and to not make those same mistakes twice. So for me, it was devastating to have something else happen, but it's something that I know that we will get through. I know that we will meet the expectations of the public in everything that we do, and we will remain positive and continue to work towards building positive relationships within the community.
This event has had a very negative effect on a lot of the parents of university students. How would you say this event should be reflected on the safety of university students regarding their interactions with Tuscaloosa PD as well as UAPD?
If you have a student here at the University of Alabama, I want you to know that you do not have to fear the Tuscaloosa Police Department. We are not out here to hurt your children. We are here to try to serve and protect them and do everything in our powers to make sure that they're safe. This is an isolated incident, and we want you to look at it as an isolated incident. And we want you to understand that I and my administrative staff and the command staff here at the Tuscaloosa Police Department, as well as the mayor and the city council, are going to do everything in our power to make sure that this does not happen again, and to make sure that we do an open, fair, honest investigation, and make sure that we take care of the situation.
Chief, do these students resist at all or do something that may have provoked these officers to do what they did?
I'm not in a position to answer that question right now. I'll let everyone that's seen the video make that determination for themselves. We're still in the midst of our investigation, and so I will reserve comment on that particular statement.
Have you actually talked to any of the family members or parents of these kids that were arrested?
No, we have not, but as part of our investigation, that will be one of the things that we will be doing, is having Captain Simpson and Lieutenant Jenkins from our Internal Affairs Office reach out to the students that were involved in this and reach out to their parents to see if they will arrange or have an interview with us so that we can hear their side of it and get some more information and details about what happened.
Chief, these videos all start after the officer had already been there. We don't know for how long. In this point of the investigation, do you have a timeline based on when the officer arrived at the apartment and what happened before these videos were started recording?
Yes, we have, like I said, the officer that initiated this contact with these students was wearing a body camera, and so we do have that information from his body camera, and we know that it was only a couple of minutes after he arrived on scene that this incident occurred.
Can you say at what point that video might be released?
I don't know at this time. We will work to try to get that out, but at this time, with everything going on, I don't know how soon or when we will be able to do that.
When the pepper spray incident occurred back in July, you told us at the presser that not every responding officer had a body camera due to department restrictions on how many body cameras you had. How many body cameras were present at this incident, considering how many officers were there?
I don't know how many of the officers had body cameras that were out there. Like I said, we're still in the early stages of this. But since the incident that occurred this summer back in July, we've deployed a number of other body cameras out in the field. And I believe we're at about 170 cameras that are deployed out among the officers that are actually working. So probably, if I had to guess, if not every officer that was present in this incident, almost every officer that was present would have had a body camera on.
Chief, the leave that the three officers are on, are they paid or unpaid?
It is paid administrative leave.
You said there's just 3 right now. Is there a possibility that more could be put on leave?
There is that possibility, but we don't know that at this time. Like I said, we're taking a careful look at each situation, how each officer responded to make that determination.
Can you tell us at this point what those 3 officers' reaction was to being put on leave?
I do not know. I did not meet with them to tell them that. All right, one more question, and then we'll move on to the next issue. All right, no more questions. All right.